Can't believe it, but the Christmas season is upon us and closing in fast. Fortunately for you, there are plenty of extra gifts you can enjoy to make it all last. With DraftKings, the sponsor of this video, there is a fantastic and unbelievable offer. Bet $5 on any NBA team playing on Christmas and get $150 in bets for your coffers. This rhyming scheme is awful, but the deal I just mentioned is extremely sweet. A free Franklin and Grant for new players betting on a winner can't be beat. Maybe I'll stake some claims on Boston or Phoenix. Perhaps Dallas and Brooklyn I best not miss? DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable as can be. It's honestly the perfect sportsbook for me. If you're a new user, this statement is divine. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code UTREE. Bet just $5 on any NBA team and win $150 in free bets if they're victorious. That's promo code UTREE this Christmas week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. I know I had stopped rhyming there, it was getting pretty lame. And as always, remember to gamble responsibly. Another classic Thursday night shit show with far more on the line than a simple win on the stat sheet. Remember that the Chargers upended the Chiefs at Arrowhead due to sloppy play. A win here would vault LA right into the division lead with tiebreaker in hand. It's critical that they do, so Brandon Staley's going to go all out. That includes his play calls. The kicker needs to stay on ice for less important situations. But the problem with solely trusting math is that going for it every single time isn't ideal. The inevitable will blow up in your face. I respect Staley's consistency, but when you're down to your last play before half, just take the damn points. This is one of those times where analytics ends up backfiring due to poor execution. It wasn't like the Chiefs were doing much better on that front either. The pass Mahomes threw on 4th and 1, probably the worst I've ever seen from him. Mom, the game got drunk again! Can you get me a stomach pump so we can conclude this in a relatively quick manner? Not looking like the case with the kind of defense we're seeing in this matchup. I get the Chargers are in the lead, but look at the team they're facing. There's a reason why Staley tried to go balls out on 4th down, and it's because they can score at will, whenever they feel like it. Too bad the Charger offense can't start up again in response, and we head to overtime. Kansas City may be receiving the ball, but with how inconsistent their offense has been? Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. Travis Kelce transforms into Thor in critical situations.
Shy of Otis Taylor. Here is Kelce. Still going. Still going. Kelce. Good night. Touchdown. Chiefs win it.
Every time we give the Chargers any shot of securing something greater than their station, they find new and exciting ways to fuck it up. Not only did their over-aggressiveness cost them the game, it may have cost them the AFC West. The lesson here is simple. When you have one play left in the first half, take the goddamn points. I know their kicker would have probably missed it, but it's the thought that counts. We can all agree this year has been insanely fucked for the NFL. Most games like the last one we recap feel like they're on some kind of drug cocktail. It's exhausting to follow this league some weeks. The only benefit is in memes fresh out of the oven. You thought it couldn't get worse. An old friend has reemerged onto the scene. Corona-chan is back from her lengthy vacation and wreaking havoc on every sports league throughout America. The NFL has felt her wrath hard. You may have noticed all the coughing last week. It was for good reason. Over 150 cases in the league over a 5-day span. It's not Pokemon to catch. Coronavirus is running a train throughout multiple organizations. Cleveland and the Rams have over 25 players in COVID protocol. Washington has over 20. Other teams like the Bears, Texans, and Lions are getting wrecked as well. 8 teams are in enhanced COVID protocols. This is the worst case scenario we were fearing last season, and we're seeing it happen in front of our eyes. The NFLPA pleaded with the league for games to be postponed, but of course they waited until the last moment. In a shocker, the Shield cared more about game integrity than cold hard cash. The Saturday Browns and Raiders tilt has been pushed to Monday. Seahawks versus Rams and Redskins versus Eagles have been rescheduled for Tuesday. We have it again in doubleheader form, boys! Tuesday night football! Any chance we can get a Wednesday night game? For all the glorious memes? Words can't describe how badly Indianapolis needs to win one of these next 2 games. They have the Raiders and Jags to win the year, but I don't know if 9 wins is going to be enough to secure a playoff berth. The Colts need to take out another legitimate opponent. If you were to answer that victim would be one of the hottest teams in football and the #1 seed in the AFC, I'd have laughed hysterically. Then I quickly remembered that the NFL this season is the Chewbacca defense. Nothing makes any goddamn sense. A team riding great momentum like the Patriots will look as shitty as they did when owned by Victor Kayam against Indy. It's probably one of the more complete games that the Colts have played this entire season. And this is also in consideration of Carson Wentz's right arm drinking daiquiris for most of the game. They had us remember that Mac Jones is al dente as a rookie. That's hard to do. I know something is to be said about New England nearly coming back, but then Jonathan Taylor had enough of the bullshit and carried the team for 67 yards. Let's put it this way. With victory here and their soft schedule, the Colts control their own destiny for playoffs. If they're lucky, division title. They've got their form back. Somewhere in Philly, Howie Roseman is distraught. I honestly believe that the world would be much better off if the New York Giants simply stopped existing. We can ship them off on a boat to nowhere along with the Jets and Bill de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo. New York City will be infinitely happier. There was pretty much no contest from the opening kickoff. The Cowboys pulled out their dicks and slapped their opponent with them for 60 consecutive minutes. Mike McCarthy didn't even have to guarantee victory, because he already knows in his heart that the G-men are refuse that escaped from a Staten Island landfill. Mike Glennon managed to quarterback his team into shitty infrastructure, and he was eventually mercy-killed for Jake from State Farm. Imagine thinking that this team has a chance to do anything. Dallas will laugh in your faces and stomp them into the ground. Fans, I know things suck for you at MetLife, but ownership has heard your cries. They'll be rewarding all season ticket holders with a free medium soda. My God. Your loyalty is worth all of $10. They couldn't even spring for a souvenir cup? This shouldn't be much of a recap. A championship contender is playing a dead team walking and we expect it to be a competitive match? I feel sorry for the poor bastards about to be annihilated on this hallowed turf. Light a candle for them tonight, because they're going to be strewn by their entrails to the sounds of weeping women and children. Woe be to these poor men, for they will fall victims to swarms of Cardinals and their loyal following.
Goff winds up! Touchdown, Detroit!
Dude, what he's saying? The blowout was the other way? What the fuck? So you want me to believe that the Detroit Lions, fucking Detroit, beat the absolute shit out of Arizona? A team that's contending for the #1 seed in the NFC? Who is this year's dealer? I want some of the drugs that the NFL is on. Real talk, this is a pretty impressive win for them. I get that the Lions fucked up their tank with this, but I think that winning here is much more important to them. They're showing improvement. Good work, boys. But really, how the hell did they make the Cardinals look like absolute shit? Urban Meyer. A man who knows how to bump and grind with the best of them. Master of the stagnating offense and ruination of players and prospects. Now you can add aspiring kicker to that fine drama-filled resume. The next headache puts its foot out with Josh Lambo, former kicker of the Jags. Urban seems to enjoy getting his sick kicks and a lack of professionalism. I don't care if it's true or not, even college kids don't deserve to be treated as poorly as he's done Jacksonville this season. Shad Khan tried his hardest to remain stubborn and keep his prized hire around, but the situation had become completely untenable. Not after all the shit that's been revealed this past week. Urban Meyer has evolved into Urban Fired. What a fucking disaster. I knew this was going to be awful considering how poorly most college coaches fare at the pro level, but Urban somehow shit on that bar. The dude seriously thought he was still in Gainesville or Columbus. He tried to act like he was the god of Duval without proving a damn thing to his players or staff. Constant dysfunction, mistrust, and deception, while building both a culture of fear and a cult of personality. Urban only cared about one thing: himself. He wanted to win his way. He wanted all the credit when things went right, and he wanted complete control. But this is the NFL. That shit don't fly in the pros. It must suck when everyone else can buy the best players too. Now the facade is off. Urban is a fraud. How the hell do you not know who's playing in a given game? How do you not travel back home with your team after a loss? This is the bare minimum and he chose to actively neglect duty. Our expectations for you were low, Urban, but holy fuck! Shad Khan was so afraid of being proven wrong that he let the Bobby Petrino 2.0 charade go on for months longer than it should have. And it's potentially irreparably damaged the organization. That's why the Jags organization as a whole is lolcow of the week. Urban, do you believe you did a terrible job in Jacksonville?
Yeah.
No further questions. Out of all the games that needed to be delayed due to COVID, this game was unfortunately unaffected. Even Corona-chan wants little to do with how awful these two franchises are. Houston has a few cases of COVID, but nothing that's going to undo them against a team kicked by endless drama like Jacksonville. James Robinson finally got some goddamn carries. But the real highlight here is a fan completely unimpeded in the end zone as he ran for a touchdown. The Jags will be signing him to the practice squad with his impressive evasion skills. With the game we saw today, you'd have thought that the top quarterback prospect was Davis Mills. The general properly dissected the remnants of the Urban Battalion to celebrate a seamless victory. As the troops march home to Houston, the Tank Bowl standings have a massive shakeup. With glorious losing, Jacksonville stakes claim to the #1 pick in the draft. In response, Urban will somehow kick it out of their hands because he's still deflecting blame like a Pro Bowl cornerback. Buffalo is falling hard. Getting stymied in Tampa Bay last week has them in a state of desperation. But there is good fortune coming their way. The Panthers somehow pissed off an ancient shaman and he's found a voodoo doll. Shaking his hand with fury, he strikes at the doll's leg. Zane Gonzalez is injured in warm-ups. Carolina doesn't have a kicker. Unfortunately for them, Urban Meyer could not be reached in time to suit up. The Panthers are now shorthanded. In a game against the Bills, it probably didn't end up mattering, but this is the cold reality of Carolina over this year. When they don't have bad luck, they're somehow sucking the life out of themselves in unique fashion. Josh Allen, foot injury and all, looked like his old self in a game that the Bills desperately needed. Something to try and stop the bleeding. It didn't feel like this game was much of a contest, but every win is sacred with how tight the AFC is. They maintain playoff seeding with the Patriots, Falcons, and Jets remaining on the schedule. This is your shot to show us that you still have life in those dying legs of yours, Buffalo. You better not fuck it up. It was looking really goddamn suspicious for the Dolphins a few months ago, man. A team expected to be a dark horse for playoff contention outright craters to a 1-7 record? Nearly trading for Deshaun Watson despite everything telling them not to? I was wondering if we had jumped the gun on how well they were rebuilding. To be frank, I don't know what it was, but it felt like something finally clicked. Miami, despite all they've done to sabotage themselves, have roared back to playoff contention. This game against the New York Jets wasn't really a win as it was a microcosm of their season. Things were looking quite ugly at first. A multi-score deficit in a game they needed to win? Yet they don't give up. They keep finding ways to grind at a scrappy Jets team to get back into the game and take the lead. Miami keeps making mistakes, but they don't break due to them. This includes a poorly thrown pick six that has every Dolphins fan begging for Deshaun. The old Dolphins would have crumbled. This Miami team has resolve. They rebound from the shitty play and regain the lead with a touchdown. The good news is that it's enough to escape with a win. The defense clamps down and does the rest. Congratulations, Dolphins. You've successfully salvaged your season. The Saints, Titans, and Patriots all need to be beaten if you want a playoff berth. It's near impossible, but never say never. If you did, you'd have given up weeks ago. Pittsburgh has been so full of bullshit in every fucking game of theirs that I firmly believe that the NFL has money on them making it to the playoffs. With how poorly they played and managed the clock in the first half, you'd have believed that Tennessee would have cruised to a win here. The Titans are looking at that #1 seed and salivating at the opportunity. It's 13-3 at halftime and the Steelers have next to no life. But if you don't believe there's massive shenanigans afoot in the second half, then you're the mistaken one. To prove my reasoning, let's flash back to before the game. Up, look right there! The Titans are sullying the midfield logo before the game. Did you not learn a damn thing from the Raiders last week, Tennessee? Only horrible things can happen after such pre-game arrogance. The punishment for such hubris and lack of foresight will be relentless and swift. After they leave the locker room, the Titans seemingly forget how to play football. Over the next 30 minutes, everyone witnessed one of the most spectacular collapses we've seen this season. 3 turnovers in 10 fucking plays. Do you think a team deserves to win with such self-destruction? Hell no, the Steelers are just gonna stand there and take what they can while Tennessee spills fucking everything. Literally everything. I don't care if the Titans are injured as shit, this kind of implosion is completely unacceptable. They're beating themselves. And despite every metric showing that they should be winning, all they can do is try to do what they haven't done all half and score points. Tennessee is hoping to generate some semblance of false hope. But we all know who the real kings of doing that are.
Hang on to the ball for a second and try and find someone over the middle. Pick up the rush, here's the throw. Oh, tackle by Joe Hayden.
1 yard short, how I miss that glorious meme. This game said a hell of a lot more about the Titans than it did the Steelers. Pittsburgh shouldn't be anywhere near a playoff spot since they have severe holes throughout the lineup, but I don't fucking care. The Steelers are going to the goddamn Super Bowl! All of these miracles don't pop up without divine intervention! This is a team of destiny! They are going to the Super Bowl, and I will hear no counter-arguments! My case is concrete! The hope of this city will go streaking down the strip while terrible fucking towns fly us apart! One of these teams is not like the other. Both of these fighters may be contending for playoff position, but there's a massive fraud in our midst. Atlanta, I appreciate the effort to overcome your unbelievably damning shortcomings. I really do. But we have to be honest with ourselves. You don't belong anywhere near where you are now. Not with your point differential, not with what you apparently call a defense, and not when you're getting slapped around silly by a team like San Francisco. They still have a shit ton to prove. They need to solidify their own dreams of vengeance and fury. George Kittle has been awoken, and he desires blood sacrifices to fuel his lust of wrecking coverages. The Falcons' false ambitions have been all but proven a lie. Despite everything they try to do, there is nothing that can counter 49er magic, and further solidifies their claim to January football. Don't sleep on them yet. They might be getting hot at the right time. Their opponents should be careful moving forward. Who had this game highlighted on their calendar before the year? A team that has been broken since 2016 against John Elway's perpetual mediocrity. For playoff seeding? Are you kidding me? This is the reality we're living in right now? One where Cincinnati comes into Denver and crushes whatever foolish dreams they may have? I'm sorry, Broncos, but you don't have divine intervention on your side this week. This game will be pain. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. The mile-high air apparently doesn't allow for the home team's offense to generate anything besides stalled-out drives and punting. The defense does its job as usual, but they can't do anything against Cincy. It creates situations like the one before halftime, where Pat Shurmur does his patented jackknife offense as Brandon McManus shanks a field goal, while the Bengals make one big play and kick a long field goal of their own to go up by 6. With seconds left in the half, while the futility is very real in Denver, things somehow get even worse.
Bridgewater, good run as he dives across the 35 and took a hit.
Did you really have to give this injury to Teddy Bridge? Hasn't this man been through enough fucking shit in his career already? Why the hell do you hate Denver? Is it because of the power struggle and ownership? Did John Elway kick you when you were trimming his hooves? The Broncos did regain a 1-point lead, but they apparently can have nothing good in this world. Just like most games this season, they'll bring hope to their fans by going on a drive. Denver will do everything to bring themselves back to relevance, but they'll fumble it all away in the red zone. It was enough to silence them. Their offense, like most games this season, can't get a damn thing going. All that's left is emptiness. The lack of traction in the passing game and a dreadful feeling in their soul. That may have been their shot, and the Bengals snatched it away in a complete game of their own. It was inevitable, Broncos. Deal with it. Potentially disastrous skid for the Ravens has somehow gotten worse for them. Lamar Jackson's ankle injury could not be healed by stale memes, and he's out for this game. Did you seriously believe you were getting an easy opponent this week? Now that's funny. You're getting Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers is still mighty pissed due to a toe injury that everyone and their mother won't shut up about. Baltimore will have to give everything they've got to have any chance of winning this one. No one's giving them that shot, but that's where they're wrong. They have the power of I can't believe it's not Lamar Jackson. This healthy yet artificial Lamargerine is playing some of the best ball of his career, keeping pace with Aaron Rodgers with throw after throw, outstanding run after outstanding run. Lamar who? Not with the way Tyler Huntley's performing. Both teams are throwing haymakers at each other, even with the injuries on both sides and horrible ref ball on display. Touchdown after touchdown thrown in this duel to the death, as both know the seriousness of what's at stake. The Packers' offense might be slowly drifting away from view, but remember, Tyler Huntley has mimicked Lamar's incredible skill in this night. He's driving offense like a seasoned vet. With whatever weapons are still healthy, Huntley's playing out of his mind. Lamar Jackson is smiling on the sidelines. He knows his team is in good hands, but they still aren't there yet. The Ravens are about to experience deja vu.
There he goes, Huntley, touchdown, Ravens.
Son of a bitch, he did it. He brought them within one as they try for 2 again?
Huntley.
Oh my god, Baltimore did it again. They learned nothing from Pittsburgh. They cost themselves another potential win because they made more suicidal decisions that didn't pan out. I get the Ravens don't have cornerbacks, but Aaron Rodgers still would have had a timeout and 42 seconds left. Any potential reward was too minuscule for such a massive risk. Also consider that they left more points on the board as they made another terrible play call on a 4th and goal in the first quarter, and going for it on a 4th and 6 at their own 29, gifting the Packers 3 more. Those combined 7 points may have given Baltimore victory, but math has no feelings. The analytical sword stabs them in the back. The AFC North you thought you had a lead on has now slipped from your grasp. With the Bengals, Rams, and Steelers coming up on the docket, I honestly don't know if they win another game. Welcome to pain, Baltimore. We'll leave a seat for you in hell if you fail to make it.
You blew it. Bish.
It's a strange set of circumstances. And it took too long, but we finally have a playoff clinching. With this win, no surprise, the Packers have clinched the NFC North. This was apparently a game that was played, and it was a game that bordered on greatness. If there's one thing that's been consistent over the past few years, it's how New Orleans makes Tampa Bay into its bitch in the regular season. The playoffs they don't talk about. But what they do is taking a once potent offense and turning it into a potato. Throughout the land, we hear every hater cheer in unison. For Tom Brady is being mauled by a pack of wild boars known as the Saints defense. With their espionage, we have figured out the blueprint to stopping this menace. All you have to do is injure nearly every good wideout on the roster, double-team Gronk, and beat the shit out of Brady in the pocket. Why the hell didn't we think of that earlier? New Orleans may still be reeling on the offensive side of the ball, but their defense is playing some of the best I've seen out of them all season. Show of hands, who expected Tampa Bay to get shut out in this one? Yeah, put him down. Nobody did except maybe Drew Brees. The final score lies. It was domination. And the Saints get much-needed breathing space in a season full of twists and turns. Tom Brady celebrated one of his worst performances with the Bucs by viciously assaulting an iPad on the sideline. It was the most accurate ball he threw on the night, and also somehow dropped by the receiver. I'm still surprised the NFL bothered to delay this one. Figured they'd force Cleveland to play with a squad that would have gotten killed in the AAF, but life works in strange ways. This includes with the destroyed team in question in the Browns. They may have gotten some players back, but both of their quarterbacks, head coach, and many others are still in COVID protocol. It's gotten so bad they had to grab Nick Mullins off the street and fit him for a uniform days earlier. Can you really blame him for the terrible Cleveland offense? He's coming in cold and barely knows the playbook. Not to mention nobody can fucking catch for some reason. If it's going to be a grind, they'll have to do it by means of team defense, also ravaged by illness and injury. Somehow they're managing to stay in it. The Browns can't do shit with the ball until the second half, but Las Vegas is rolling snake eyes at the craps table. This is their chance. They can strike while the iron's hot. Nick Mullins is doing well for a free agent signing last week. He's not making mistakes, and it's enough for the Browns to take the lead late into the fourth. Hope is once again flooding into this downtrodden city. All of the shit they dealt with over the year, this messy situation, all thrown away like Derek Carr trying to play hero ball. But can they hold? The Raiders have done everything in their power to try and piss away this game, but the football gods are cruel. Las Vegas is finally getting some damn luck at the casino and rattling off wins with their last dollar. To avoid insolvency, they'll need one more field goal as time expires to hit the parlay.
This one counts, and the Raiders have won it!
Whoop-de-doo, you beat the equivalent of an amputee in the 100-meter dash. The Raiders may have escaped, but they aren't getting any praise from me for this shit. All that really matters is that Cleveland will once again sink into Lake Erie. The factories are reopening up there, but all they produce is misery and sadness. The gods really are cruel. Paying attention to the Chicago Bears is like watching a grandparent die of cancer. It's horrifying and no one should have to go through with it, but it's an inevitability of life. On a cold, dreary Monday night against the Vikings, it was as if I saw an entire city wither into decay. Chicago itself was limping into this matchup. Injuries and COVID took out their entire starting secondary. Adding insult to backups and practice squad fodder, several of the assistants were out as well. So they must suffer through torture. Matt Nagy calling plays on offense. Oh, they're offensive, alright. Children are watching, Matt. Do you want them to suffer through this uninspired dreck? It wasn't like Minnesota did much of anything. Even for Kirk Cousins and his notorious awfulness on Monday Night Football, it was superseded by bearing down to purgatory. Whatever chances Chicago had were either squandered away or hampered by ref ball. Oh, the ref ball. I bet the Bears know a thing or two about that, don't they? It was a miserable game that was even more miserable for anyone who bothered to watch. And And for surviving the credit sequence, the Vikings get a gift. A 500 record. I know you're bummed out, Bears fans, but think of the charity you're going to be giving the Giants in next year's draft.
Chicago Bears eliminated.
This is the deal that Dan Snyder made all those years ago. He gave up everything to keep his precious football team. Any consistent winning, any positive fortune or good luck, out the window. The reskins will be mocked at every opportunity. Their attempts at success will be foiled by division rivals, especially as... boys? It'd be a good idea not to taunt your opponent with flying in your own team benches just because another team did it to you. You pull that shit, you better be able to back it up. When you're forced to pick Garrett Gilbert off the waiver wire because you have no healthy QBs, it's not a good sign. It may have been against a battered opponent, but Philadelphia looked somewhat respectable. They cunningly and methodically ground their opponent into dust. Jalen Hurts passed with some efficiency, and his receivers responded in kind. It was far from perfect, but they did what they had to do. Don't forget their end-of-year schedule is relatively soft. They technically control their own destiny. All they have to do is take out the trash and beat Dallas. Are you ready, Philly? False hope is about to consume you. It's ironic. The Seahawks, among other teams, complaining about having their games pushed back due to COVID while suffering a COVID outbreak of their own. So now both teams are hampered and ailing in this once proud divisional contest. The Rams are still champs in that regard. They had over half their roster in COVID protocol. And while some players returned, they were still far from full strength. Even then, Seattle can only experience one reality that may be coming their way. The end. Witnessing the Seahawks limp and wince their way into painful defeats this season feels like an era is coming to a close. These aren't the same guys that were consistently bailed out by Chef Russ's cooking. I don't know if it's age, lingering injury, or a lack of a chorus around him, but the offense has no sync whatsoever. An LA group was ripe to be pounced on, and they still couldn't do it. The worst part was that their defense did everything they could to stymie the Rams' attack, yet it was their comrades that let them down. And things somehow couldn't get worse. Ref ball fucks them with a blatantly missed pass interference call because the guy throwing it isn't Tom Brady. With every gash slowly breaking them, the Seahawks lose and suffer their first losing season in a decade. All good things must come to an end, and that includes the era of Carroll and Wilson. Those trade rumors with Chef Russ are starting to sizzle. And when there's smoke, there's usually heartbreak. Just not for the Rams, they'll kick you into the dust. We finally have a playoff clinching. It's apparently Highlander rules, as there can be only one. God help us for the mess we'll have to untangle in the next few weeks. Let's move on to the AFC. In a mix-up, the Kansas City Chiefs now hold the top spot in the conference at this time. Not a bad comeback from how rough it was looking early on. New England and Tennessee hold on to the second and third seats despite embarrassing losses. In fourth, this is not a drill. The Cincinnati Bengals are leading the AFC North in Week 15. Hell is freezing over as I speak. It is as well for a four-way tie for the 3 wildcard spots. The Colts slingshot up to the first one, while the Chargers and Bills land at 6 and 7. Baltimore is now on the outside looking in due to 3 straight losses. Pittsburgh is still somehow thriving at 9 despite the dreaded tie. And at 7 and 7 and clinging to the edge, Las Vegas, Miami, Cleveland, and Denver are just praying they don't fall off to end the year. In the NFC, things are a touch clearer. As the number 1 seed and the only team secure on a berth, Green Bay holds serve. For division leads, the Cowboys take over the 2 seed with Tampa Bay and Arizona losses, even though they still have the 3 and 4 positions. The Rams are hot on Arizona's tail with the first wildcard spot, however. The 49ers are a touch behind but stand alone with 8 wins. At 7 victories, a 3-way race between Minnesota, Philadelphia, and New Orleans to see who will be fodder for a divisional juggernaut. With losses, Atlanta and Washington fall a game behind the pace. And Carolina, Seattle, and the Giants are currently falling into a chasm with no hope in sight. Things still haven't cleared up with only 3 weeks left. But for this Christmas, let's remember the golden rule.
Don't get eliminated!
Football is a brutal game. May the bell toll for the fallen.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit lost.
Thus concludes another week of this sermon on the field. Amen.
He'll take this from his own 1-yard line. Smith following his blocks. Nice job out across the 30.